Hi, in this video, I'm going to show you some of the basic features on the matrix in R. Okay, first of all, what do you mean by matrix? Okay, so matrix is the arrangement of the objects in a rectangular form. Okay, for example, let's say if you have several data on many data, they are represented in the matrix form. Okay, for example, let's say there is, let's say, for example, person number one, right? So serial number or ID number, and then height, and then weight, and then BMI. So you can collect many data of a same person, and then you can arrange that in the matrix form, right? BMI maybe 23.3. Okay, person 2, height, you write down the height, you write down the weight, you write down the BMI, and there's so many other columns. There are 3 columns here, and number 1 column is the ID number, or the person, the serial number, and you can say there are 4 columns. Okay, and there can be many columns, so the data can contain many columns. So the data, we can write this is in the matrix form. All right, now, so we can, some of the data in the matrix will be missing data. For example, let's say person number 3, height is not available. Okay, weight is, let's say, 188 pound, and BMI is, let's say, 27.3, and so on. Okay, so some of the data are not available, some of the data are missing. So how do we handle those kind of things? And also, how do we remove one, for example, when you collect the data, or if you are using the data that somebody has collected, so let's say person 25 has height is 8 feet 8 inches. If you think that is wrong, okay, and then 153 lb, and then BMI is 17.7, let's say, if you think this is wrong, then you can actually remove this row only. How do I do that in the R? Okay, or remove this element only. How do I do that in R? So all these kind of things you need to know to clear or to clean the data set. Okay, so that's what I'm going to show you now. All right, so let us see an example. First of all, I will show you how to create a matrix from a given data. Okay, so remove A means if there is anything saved as name A, it will remove that. Okay, that's what the remove A means. And I'm defining A as matrix. Data is 5, means all the data set, all the data elements are 5, and number of row, and R is the number of row is 2, and number of column is 2. Okay, so in a matrix, let me show you that. Let me run this line number 5 and 6. This is what you see. So these are the columns. Okay, first column, second column. These are the row, first row, second row, like that. Okay, so what does it say is you need to have 2 rows and 2 columns, and all the data are 5. So if you do, like, for example, let's say 3 columns, 2 rows and 3 columns, and if you run that and the other, you will see the 3 columns there. Okay, and as I mentioned in the earlier videos, you can name the rows and column, okay, of these matrix. So this is a matrix. This has 2 rows and 3 columns. Okay, you can change the name of this as different, whatever name you want to give. Okay, for example, how do I give the names here? Is basically you can do column names of A, right, is equals to, what do you do, equals to C, and inside the parenthesis you need a quotation mark. Let's say C1 is the column 1, and then comma, quotation mark, C2 is the column 2, and then comma, quotation mark, C3 is the column 3, right? Similarly, if you want to name the rows, so row names, right, row dot names of A equals to, you can do C, and then you can do R1, right, quotation R1, comma, quotation R2. That's what you do, right? And then let's print A. So how does that look like? Let's do that. Column names, we provided that. Row names, we provided that. Now see, if you do that, then it gives you, it changes the value name of the rows and columns. That's what you can do. Okay, so if there are many different elements, for example, let's say 1 through 6, right? And then if you want to make 2 rows and 3 columns, and you want to write by row equals true, means you will write those numbers by row. You write 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, like that. Let us see what it does. Okay, so if you don't do by row equals to true, then it will print the numbers through the column. Let's see that. So B is writing like 1, 2 first for the first row, and then second row and third row, like this. But if you do, this is the default. If you don't write anything here, it will print through the column, right? Now if you do by row equals to 2, then it will write through the row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. So again, you can change the name whatever you want to write here. Okay, so let us create another matrix. That is, let us remove any x if there is saved something. So x is between 1 and 15. 1, 2, 3, 4 through 15, including 1 and 15. Now another way of writing a matrix is give the dimension of x as 5, and then C 5, 3 means 5 rows and 3 columns. Let's do that. I give the dimension of x. This is another way of creating a matrix. Okay, and write down x. See, this is what you see. Now again, so this is the default, right? So what you are doing here is you are doing through the columns, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. All right. So how do I get the first column? Is x and then bracket and comma 1. That is the first column. Okay. And how do you get the second column? Sorry, how do you get the second row? Second row is x and then 2. And then, so it is actually writing everything in the row format. Okay. So if you want to do the data frame, then it will put in the exact format that it has. For example, if you do like, let's say data, you can write it here or you can write it here too. Let me clear what I have there. And then let's see, you can write data dot frame, right? And then if you write, let's say x and then comma 1, right? If you do that, what do you get? Let's do that. See, it is printing the values in that, because what was x? Our x was this, right? So this was our x, and when you do data.frame, then it will print exact the form that it has. All right. Okay, so let me do another example on how to handle the elements of a matrix, of a row or column of a matrix. So we are removing both x object and the y object. Do you know one thing? Okay, by the way, I forgot to tell you, what is that green things? How we get that green things? Okay, so the green things we call, these are this pound sign. If you type a pound sign and type anything after the pound sign, that means it is taken as a comment. So the R does not execute that command. Okay. So if you want to put something like in the command form, then you will have to write the pound sign first and then write the comment. Okay. And whenever you run it, it will not run that thing after the comment or the pound sign. Okay. So here, let's say that another way of running a certain code is, if you just select that this way and then just run it, it will run only that selected portion. If you select both and then run it, it will basically it will execute both of these. Okay, the selected item. Okay, all right. Let us do. We have defined x equals to 1 through 4, y equals to 11 through 14, and m is c 10, 30, 42, 65. Suppose this is the three data set these are the three data set you are defining. Okay, so now what I'm doing here is I'm defining a new matrix A with data frame x and y. So it will put these x and y in the column format. Okay, so let us do that and then print that A. So the first 1, 2, 3, 4 are the number of rows. Okay, and x and y it is picking those x and y values there. Okay, now what I'm doing is I want to add the third column. There are just two columns. I have to add the third column, m equals to c 10, 30, 42, and 65. So how do I do that? Is I'm just doing data frame again, and then you can write just a and then m, or you can write x, y, and m. Okay, so let's do what we get there and then just run that. So it is adding that. You see that? What happens if you just do A here instead of X and Y? Let us try that one. And then do that, you will get the same thing because A is already the column of X and Y. Okay, so you can add a column or you can remove a column these ways. Okay, now if you want to replace, for example, certain value of a row or column, for example, I want to replace this by 45 or I want to replace this by 49, like that. So how do I do that? Or I want to replace the whole row or whole column by certain values. So how do I do that? So let us talk about that. Replacing a row or column of a matrix. So let me run this. This is a 2 by 3, nice 2 by 3 matrix. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6. I'm writing by column, right? Now what I'm trying to do is I want to replace the third column, because see, the first space is for row, the second space is for column. So that means third column. I want to replace the third column of this matrix X by 21 and 22. That's what I want to do. Okay, so how do I do that? Is I'm just writing X and then bracket comma 3. That is third column equals to 21 through 22. So that is the new data values that I am replacing these by 21 and 22. Okay, guys. All right. So let us do another thing again. So similarly, you can replace a first row. So that's the next example. So Y is matrix 1 of 1 through 6, and then now I want to replace the first row, okay, by 10 through 12. First row means this one. I have to replace that by 10, 11, and 12. How do I do that? You can add Y1. See, the first, this is the location, this is the position for row, and this is the position for columns, okay? So the first row is 10, 11, and 12. That's what I did, and then you run that. See, the first row is replaced by 10, 11, and 12. Now, so what is that? Suppose I want to remove in the X matrix, I have to remove the entire first column or entire second column, like that. So how do I do that? Is you do -1. See, X and then bracket comma -1 means you are removing the first column. Okay, -2 means removing the second column, and so on. Okay, let us do that. So X is removed. X is removed. So this is the X matrix, right? We removed the first column. Similarly, if you do that, X has removed the second column, because see, this is the X. We remove the second column. What is left is 1, 2, and 21, 22. That's what it is left. And Y is removing first row, because there is a -1. See, what was the Y matrix? This is the Y matrix, right? I'm removing the first row. And what is left is 2, 4, and 6 only. All right. Similarly, you can do other things too. Let us see that. Let's say G equals to 1 through 30. So G equals to 1 through 30. And then what I'm doing here is it will pick G elements or the numbers in G such that G divided by 5 has remainder 0. Meaning, so what values, so what are the numbers that if you divide by 5, remainder 0 means multiple of 5, right? So it will pick only the multiple of 5. When G is divided by 5, this double percent is the divided, right? So it is like, yeah, you can say divided, yes. So we call mode. But anyway, so G and then G double percent 5 is double equals to 0. That means you are picking the values between 1 and 30 that are divisible by 5. That means if you divide by 5, you will get remainder 0. So this is how you can do all these things. All right. So the next thing we want to do here is we want to create a matrix and then assign a name. We discussed that already, right? So see here, A equals matrix from 1 through 6. It will include the number from 1 through 6, 2 rows and 3 columns. And row name, you will give, you can do row dot names or row names, column dot names or column names. So it's the same thing, okay? But when you give the name, you need to write C and then parenthesis and the quotation mark and then write whatever you want to write, and then close the quotation mark and then comma and then do the same thing. Okay, so let us do this. So we are assigning names to that matrix and then write that matrix A again. It will print the way that you want. Okay, so how do you combine two matrices in a various way? If you want to combine, like say this matrix and this matrix in a row form or in a column form, how do you do that? Okay, let us do that. Suppose M1 is a matrix, I'm giving that name as a matrix of data is 1, all of the elements are 1, number of row is 2, number of column is 2. Okay, so let us let us name that M1. Let me give M3, another matrix name is M3. I'm doing that. Okay, so I need to change all why I'm giving that 3, because the elements are 3 there, that's why. Okay, so let us do that. So M3 is all the elements 3. So I'm R-bind. R-bind means what? You are combining the matrix along the row. R-bind means combining matrix along the row. So what does that mean? That means, let us see that. You're combining that, okay? So first row, second row was given matrix M1, third row, fourth row. So it is combining along the row, okay? So it is putting under that matrix M1. Similarly, if you do C-bind means combining along the columns, okay? So what do you get that? That will give you that 3-3 matrix is going through the columns. Okay, now what is that? Matrix multiplication. If you have to multiply two matrices, this is how you do it. Okay, matrix multiplication means you will, so let us forget that, because you don't know, you haven't taken the matrix class, so you don't know how to multiply the matrices, right? So matrix multiplication is multiplying on one matrix by another matrix. That means what? Multiplying this matrix by this matrix. Okay, and then you will multiply like this way, and then this goes to this way, and then this. So it is like that. All right, so that's the matrix multiplication. So let us take one tooth growth example. This is the built-in data set, right? So this is the built-in data set. Let me give a name, that is X is tooth growth, and this is what the X is. We discussed this data set already in different contexts, but it has the length of the tooth, and then there are two types of supplement, vitamin C and orange juice. Okay, and then there are 3 doses of those vitamin C giving. Okay, so 0.5, 1, and 2. All right, now, so what you want to do here, you want to pick only the first and third column. So what I'm giving is, I'm giving a name Y. Okay, I'm giving a name Y that has data dot frame. That's how you create a new matrix or create a new data from a given data set. Okay, and tooth growth first column, tooth growth third column. See, the first, this one is blank, that means the row is the blank, all row. Blank means all row. You are picking all row of the first column and all row of the third column. Okay, and then I'm giving the name, the column names of Y as length and dose. Let me do that, and if I do this, then it is removing the the second column of that, right? We know another way how to remove the second column, right? Let us try this. If you try, let's say X, right, and then X, and then bracket, and then comma, and then -2. If you do that, I think it will give you the same thing. You see that? Length and dose only. It does that exactly same thing. So one way is basically doing the data frame. Okay, the another way is just remove the one that you want to, and then do that way. So either way, there are many methods you can do the same thing. Okay guys, so this is the end of this video. In the next video, I will show you how to handle the not available or missing data in a data set. Okay guys, thank you very much.